Good evening. This is the Guyana Learning Channel's news in capsule for Monday, June 14, 2021. Here are the top stories we will be covering. First Lady Arya Ali, godmother of Eliza Unity, Human Service Ministry to launch campaign targeting street children. Exercise trade winds to prepare Guyana for natural disasters, and US-based Guyanese researcher gets Indigenous Landscapes Study Grant. In the world of sports, West Indian pair inducted into the ICC Hall of Fame. Regionally, Dominica signs deal for construction of international airport, and internationally, Canadian telescope detects hundreds of radio bursts in space. And now for the news in detail. First Lady Arya Ali is the godmother of the Eliza Unity, the second floating production storage and offloading FPSO vessel, which will operate in the giant oil fields offshore Guyana in the block held by ExxonMobil and its partners. The vessel is twice the size of the one currently in operation. It is built to produce 220,000 barrels of oil per day, with an overall storage volume of up to 2 million barrels. The First Lady dedicated the ship on Saturday at a ceremony held at Cara Lodge in Georgetown, marking the beginning of the ship's sail from Singapore to Guyana. The ship is expected to start up by 2022. During the ceremony, Mrs. Ali noted that the project will materialize in the form of local content growth, resulting in more jobs for Guyanese and more opportunities for local businesses and increased revenues, which, when prudently managed, will help the country to achieve many of the aspirational goals which have been outlined by the government of Guyana. This piece was extracted and modified from Newsroom. Minister Honorable Dr. Vindhya Prasad made this announcement on Friday during the launch of the World Day Against Child Labor, held in the Ministry of Labor's compound. Minister Prasad said the government will provide education and healthcare services for the development of the nation's children. The government will also provide a nurturing environment to those who are unable to care for themselves. Following a series of alarming reports in 2020, Director of the Child Care and Protection Agency, CPA, Ms. Anne Green, had called on the public to refrain from giving money to children on the streets. The Protection of Children's Act 2009 states that parents could be prosecuted and imprisoned for allowing their child to beg on the streets. The CPA head said parental substance abuse, parental mental health abuse, domestic abuse or violence, and poverty contributes to children's vulnerabilities. She said that it is the duty of the parent to provide for children. She noted that if parents cannot fulfill their duty, they should seek help from the CPA. Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force, Brigadier Godfrey Best, says the U.S.-sponsored multinational event Exercise Trade Winds will build Guyana's capacity to respond to natural disasters and other threats. The two-week exercise was launched on Sunday at Base Camp Ayangana. Brigadier Best said the Caribbean security-focused exercise will include land, air, sea, and cyberspace training. During the ceremony, Brigadier Best stated that the troops will also be helping the relief efforts by airlifting items to flood-affected communities during the exercise. These articles were extracted and modified from the Department of Public Information. America's National Science Foundation, NSF, has awarded a United States-based Guyanese researcher a 5-year grant to study how various factors, including the demand for natural resources, influence the landscapes of the indigenous peoples in Guyana. The University of Texas in Dallas announced that the grant was awarded to Dr. Anthony Cummings, an associate professor of geospatial information sciences in the School of Economic, Political, and Policy Sciences at the university. According to the university's report, with the 5-year $523,000 grant from the NSF, Cummings will return to Guyana to study indigenous peoples' influenced landscapes, or landscapes within which indigenous peoples complete a range of traditional livelihood practices. Cummings earned the Faculty Early Career Development Program Award for his project Land Use and Land Cover Change Impact on Biodiversity and Indigenous Peoples' Livelihoods. His aim is to understand how forces far away from indigenous peoples influence landscapes, such as fluctuations in the stock market or the demand for gold or timber, and interpreted by the people within those landscapes. This piece was extracted and modified from Stabroek News. In the world of sports, West Indies cricket legends Sir Leslie Constantine and Desmond Haynes were inducted into the International Cricket Council's Hall of Fame on Sunday. They have joined a list of fellow cricketing icons who have received this prestigious honor. Leary Constantine was an early pioneer of West Indies cricket and an outstanding all-rounder. He was a member of the celebrated team which played the first Test match in West Indies history in England in June 1928. He played 18 Test matches and made an indelible contribution to the sport and to the West Indies community at home and abroad, while Haynes was one of the most successful opening batsmen in the history of games and formed a world-famous batting partnership with his long-standing teammate, Gordon Greenidge. West Indians previously inducted into the ICC Hall of Fame includes Sir Curtly Ambrose, Brian Lara, and Sir Clive Lloyd, to name a few. Extracted and modified from Newsroom. Dominica's international airport is now a done deal. On June 9th, the government of Dominica signed an agreement with the UAE-based firm Montreal Management Consultants to officially break ground on the highly anticipated international airport. The Dominica International Airport project has been undertaken by several administrations in Dominica, hoping to get it off the runway during their tenure. But several blips, such as powerful hurricanes, fiscal problems, and most recently the COVID-19 pandemic, have caused the ambition to be put to a standstill. Decades later, the project is finally seeing the light of day. Dominica's longest-serving Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit expressed his elation. He called Wednesday's ceremony a proud moment. The project, with an estimated cost of $1 billion Eastern Caribbean dollars, will see a 5-year construction timeline in 5 phases. By 2025, Dominica is expected to welcome inbound international flights from Europe and the United States. This piece was extracted and modified from Caribbean News Now. Hundreds of mysterious fast radio bursts have been detected in space thanks to a Canadian telescope and an international group of researchers. The origins of these bright millisecond-long flashes of light are unknown because the bursts, or FRBs, are unpredictable and vanish quickly. Scientists first observed them in 2007. In the decade following, they only observed about 140 bursts across the universe. This was extracted and modified from CNN. With that, we've reached the end of today's News in Capsule. Be sure to join us weekdays at 8 p.m. on the Guyana Learning Channel for more editions of GLC News. On behalf of the technical team, thanks for watching, and remember to take care of your loved ones. Get vaxxed today. Stay safe, Guyana.